As I arrived at the lake, I started off by putting a dynamite the sauce rafter onto a rig and adding on a PVA mesh bag and getting it cast out. So I've just got the first rod out. I've put that on a mesh bag. Just wanted to get one out quickly. And for my second rod, I think I'm going to use a solid bag. But I'm going to have to tie a new rig because it is a barbless lake that I'm fishing. And I don't want to break the rules. So I'm using them. And I'm going to tie it onto Supernatural. This is how I'm tie my rigs. Take a bit of braid off. Then get a hook. That's the hook through the eye. Like so it's just going through. And then wrap it around 6 to 8 times. Then you want to pass it through the back of the hook towards the eye. So it's going like that. And it should look like that coming through the hook. And then just tie about 3 to 4 inches of braid. You want to tie a figure of 8 loop knot onto it. Like so, and then pull that tight. And then what I do is I get my hook pullers on there, and just pull them down so it's nice and tight. Then trim both your tag ends. That one. Remember to take all your rubbish home. And that one. Take the little thing that comes on the hook off. And then get a micro ring swivel. Tiny little swivel. Pass that onto the hook like so. Focus. Like so. And then get your hook bead. Thread your hook bead on. And it should look like that. Right. Then I get my lead stem. This one's an Avid one, but you can use any brand that you like. Get that. Pass it through the loop. And then back on it, back through the loop that you made earlier, and then pull that down tight, and it should just look like that. And get your lead. I'm just using the cheapest leads that I could find in the shop, which are, which leads are on it? Just these Fox 2.5 ounce ones, and they fit perfect on the Avid stems, like so. Move that out the way. And then my hook bait of choice is going to be Dynamite the Sauce Wafter. Get one of them out. And then I got this new thing at a fishing show. It's made by Nero Angling. You put your hook bait in it and then pass the hook bait through the centre and it gets it perfect, like so. And then you can't also stab yourself because it's going into the metal, as per. And then get your bait floss, take a section of that off, snip, and then just pass that through your micro ring swivel, as so. So it looks like that. And then you want to get your hook bait, pass it on, pull it down, snip the ends, and then using your lighter, you want to cut the ends off like that, and I'll just trim it down. It looks nice and neat. So, should look like that. And then take that off me. I get a new bucket. This is just an old bucket. Open that up. And then quarter size small. Best ones I've used by far. That perfect bit of attraction around the hook. This is what that brings. Pass all of that back in. Right. So what I do to tie my solid bag is get a little bit in the bottom, like so. Yep. Then leg goes in at the bottom. Place it in the middle, and then one scoop, half a scoop. Then I place my hook bait in, and you want the hook to be sitting flat on inside the bag. Then 1.5 more scoops, like so. Big chunk of it. Then it should be looking like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I grab it by the top. Keep pushing it down. Grab it. Twist. And it should look like that. Once it looks like that, I'm gonna get your PVA tape. Right now I'm using this Nash stuff. It's alright, but I need to get some more soon. And then twist the bag, get the tape. 1, 2, 3. Grab both ends, couple of granny knots. Trim the ends. Trim around the top. And then one corner, flick it, press it down like so. Other corner, flick it, flick and stick. Then next to your hook bait, create a couple of little holes with your scissors so the air can escape and it lands upright. Now that is how I tie a perfect little hook bait and piece of attraction. I then got the solid bag casted out and waited for a bite. I then had this lovely £8 bar of gold. This was the first fish of my year, and I was extremely happy with the result. I then slipped this beauty back and hoped for another bite. I then had a screaming take, and the result was this lovely £9 common, which was a perfect second fish of the year. I then took it to the side of the lake and slipped it back. What a result that was. After another 2 hours, the sun started to set, and I finally got another carp. What a result that was to end off the session. A lovely £11 common. Once again, happy with the result. Thank you for watching today's video. Please drop a like and subscribe. That's it from Carping with Will. Thank you.